Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the mission Restore Our Ocean and Waters. My name is Marcin Sadowski. I am from the Directorate General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, DG Mare for short, and it is my pleasure to be guiding you through this information session. And with me in the studio here are my colleagues Roberta Zobbi from DG Mare and Michaela Gili from the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, DG RTD for short. We also have several other colleagues who will be joining us remotely, whom I will introduce when we come to them. So what we will do is first give you an overview of the mission Ocean and Waters, of what it's about and the state of play. And then we will go on to the topics. We have two calls. Actions implementing the mission, that consists of 5 topics, and then we will break for questions, and then the second call, actions support to communities of actors for the mission, and which has 2 topics, and after that we will take your questions once again. So let us start with the introduction, and I would like to ask the head of Unit Ocean, Seas and Waters of DG RTD, Elisabetta Balzi, to start the introduction. Elisabetta, please.
Thank you very much, Marcin, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us today, and allow me to just provide you with a brief introduction on our mission. Our mission, you know, is a broad mobilization initiative with the overall goal of restoring our ocean and waters as a whole, the hydrosphere, by 2030. With 3 specific objectives that we see in the next slide. The first objective is to protect and restore marine and freshwater ecosystems and biodiversity, with a specific targets of protecting at least 30% and strictly protecting 10% of EU seas areas, and restoring 25 kilometers of free-flowing rivers. Second objective is to prevent and eliminate pollution of our ocean, seas and waters, reducing by at least 50% plastic litter, by 30% microplastic, and by at least 50% nutrient losses and chemical pollution. And third objective is to make the blue economy carbon neutral and circular, with a target of net zero maritime emissions, zero carbon aquaculture, and low carbon multipurpose use of marine space. We also have 2 very important enablers for our mission, which are the digital ocean and waters knowledge system building, and the public mobilization and engagement. In order to reach these very ambitious objectives, in the next slide, we see that the mission is acting on 3 fronts. First of all, we are mobilizing all relevant actors. So we are working with a broad range of community of actors, starting, of course, from the scientific research innovation community, but going far beyond to involve all stakeholders from public and private sectors and citizens at large. Secondly, we are not only mobilizing the communities, but we are also supporting the communities to implement this transition. And this we are doing through, of course, projects which will develop and demonstrate solutions that we want to bring locally at the service of all citizens. Then we have also support services, and we have an implementation platform to support all those who are engaged in our mission. And third phase, where we are intervening, is the deployment at scale. So we are helping to implement this transition locally with a series of support, from financial support to engagement activities and scaling up and replication. In the next slide, we see how we are operating our mission through the concept of lighthouses, which are the sites to pilot, demonstrate, develop, and deploy the mission activities across all EU seas and river basins. So we have 4 lighthouses. Each of them concentrates on one of the 3 objectives, but without excluding, of course, that they are operating in the end on all 3 objectives. So we have a Baltic and North Sea basin lighthouse, which is focusing, first of all, on the third objective of carbon neutrality. the Mediterranean Sea Basin Lighthouse, concentrating on the objective of reducing pollution, and then 2 lighthouses, the Danube River Basin and the Atlantic Arctic Lighthouse, concentrating on the objective of restoring our ocean and waters. In the next slide, we see that, as I said, since the mission is a broad mobilization initiative, community building, it's very important for us, and we intend communities at large. So we have a series of activities which facilitate this community building, starting from our charter. We have a forum of our communities. We are supporting specific communities, such as, for example, the Blue Parks, the digital ocean communities. We are supporting specifically in this call that will be presented a coalition of cities, regions, and islands for emissions. We are working very closely with the regions, and so the regions, it's also a very important community for us, and we are associating them systematically to our mission projects, and we expect to have 100 regions associated to our projects very soon. In the next slide, I would like to mention that the mission charter, it's a very important framework for us to gather this community of broad stakeholders engaged in our mission. We would like to invite all of you, if you did not do it yet, please to adhere to our charter with your actions. We have up to date more than 600 actions pledged in our charter for a value of more than 4.5 billion euros, which go beyond what we are investing in our program. So these are actually key actions for our mission to be implemented. In the next slide, I would like to recall that, of course, through our Horizon Europe program, we are supporting the mission through call for proposals. Up to now, we have had 3 calls for proposals. Today, we have a pleasure to introduce our 4th call. We have already more than 40 projects up and running, and we have more than 25 still in the pipeline or being signed. And this is for a value of around 350 million euros already in this portfolio of projects strictly within our mission work program. But of course, the projects which contribute to our mission go far beyond this investment, core investment that we do in the mission work program. In the next slide, I would like to recall also that we have a mission implementation platform. This is a one-stop shop where we provide information to all those who want to engage in our mission on all the knowledge which is available, all the solutions. A very important objective of our mission is to bring the solutions on the territory, on the seas and waters locally. So here we have, for example, a database of solutions provided by our projects portfolio and beyond. We are also providing all information of all sorts of possible financing and funding sources in order to implement the actions that are proposed by all the different stakeholders and communities belonging to our mission. So this is a very important reference site to implement this mission together. And in the next slide, please. This is a key element and component of our mission. As we said, the mission is a joint effort. There is, of course, an important core in Horizon Europe in our mission work program, but the mission goes far beyond the European programs. It goes far beyond Horizon Europe. So the synergies are key for us, and synergy means synergies across different EU programs. I would like also to remind that we have, for example, a dashboard in our website showing a portfolio of more than 900 projects across 20 different EU programs which contribute to our mission. So please have a look to that, because you will see that across different EU programs we have really a very important portfolio of solutions for our mission. We, of course, are synergizing and collaborating with member states. We need to join forces with the national and regional programs. So countries and regions are key for us. With international partners and initiatives, we were just in Barcelona for the UN Decade conference, and we are joining forces, for example, also through the All Atlantic Ocean Research Innovation Alliance with the Union for the Mediterranean. We are We are building synergies with public and private sectors, of course, with academies, university, but also joint undertakings, which are public-private initiatives, and with financial sectors and with philanthropies, which are also very important partners for us. And of course, citizens and youth are also a key element for our mission. We are supporting them with different initiatives, for example, European Solidarity Corps and different citizens initiatives, youth ocean ambassadors, also very important activities, and also support through our programs available for this. And in the next slide, I would like to mention that, as I said, the support to our mission communities is key for us. So we are currently providing, for example, support with feasibility studies to different communities for our mission. So this is technical assistance. In this moment, we are providing support specifically for islands, for ports, and for fisheries communities, and we are helping them to prepare transition agendas in order to implement the mission objectives in their local context. We are also facilitating investment through different initiatives. For example, through Blue Invest, the EU is providing more than 1.5 billion euros in risk finance for the blue economy. In December last year, we also launched Blue Champions, which is a pilot scheme with the European Investment Bank to support more than 20 innovative SMEs, again, to reach a mission objective. So this is to give you also a flavor of all different initiatives that we are supporting to facilitate this transition. Synergies with regions are also extremely important for us, and we are working on this with different regions, also, as I mentioned, through association of regions, but also we are trying to prepare some memorandum of cooperation with some regions in order to pilot cooperation and synergies with structural funds in order to implement the transition locally. And with this, I think I would like to conclude my presentation and give the floor back to Marcin. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Elisabetta. And now to continue the introduction, I would like to ask Roberta Zobbi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marcin. Yes, my role here is, to bring you deeper into the work program 2024 and to provide you with some additional information on this scheme that we are implementing in our mission, which is the scheme for associated regions. So if we can go to the next one. So the work program 2024 is the fourth work program that we implement under Mission Ocean and Waters. Up to now, we have, and together with work program 2024, we have allocated to research and innovation project addressing mission objectives around 500 million, and we have in our portfolio 66 projects which are already running or which are about to start. The work program 2024 was adopted last 17th of April, and we have a deadline for the submission of the call, which is set on the 18th of September 2024. Moving forward with the next slide. As it was the case for the previous work program, the work program 2024 also follows the impact-driven logic, which is the logic of Horizon Europe and which is the logic of the European mission. So activities must be impactful in relation to the mission objectives. Activities included in the work program 2024 will also continue supporting the major policies and legislation under the European Green Deal, like, for example, the biodiversity strategy, the action plan on zero pollution, the recently adopted marine action plan, and also all the objectives which are under the communication on a sustainable blue economy, just to mention some very relevant policies underpinning our mission. And the Work Programme 2024 also continues implementing this approach based on basins, and as was mentioned before by Elisabetta, the basin lighthouses are a very important concept that we implement in the mission, and there will be, as it was the case in the previous work program, several topics addressing one or the other sea or river basins. So the Work Programme 2024 is organized around two major calls. All in all, there are 7 topics, and we have 4 other actions. And in total, the indicative budget for the Work Programme 2024 is 127 million. So call number 1, we have a couple of topics which are implemented through innovation actions. This is the case for the topic on blue parks, another topic addressing migratory fish, another one on the impact of fisheries on sensitive species, and then we have 2 CSAs, one on citizen science and the other one to co-design a vision for a healthy ocean and water system. And then in the second call, as it was already mentioned, communities are very important under Mission Ocean and Water, so there are 2 specific initiatives addressing the mission communities of actors. As I said, we also have other actions which are not implemented through calls for proposals, and these activities under other actions refers to the further development of our European digital twin for the ocean. We have a specific action to support the monitoring of the mission policy objectives. We also have a study addressing the seabed sequestration capacity, and we also have other activities to support specific expertise. And this is it for the work program. If we can move to the next slide. The associated region is an important scheme which is implemented under Mission Ocean and Water, and I think it's important to remind how it works because it provides additional opportunities for being involved in Mission Ocean and Water. We can go to the next one. Okay. So the concept of associated regions was launched already in the first work program, and it was conceived to provide support to wide replication of the solutions that are developed under the mission through the different projects. This concept is mostly embedded in topics implementing innovation actions. And actually the concept applies to either areas that can benefit from the activities which are carried out by the different projects, for example, neighboring regions or regions in different sea basins or river basins, because there is a common issue or a common problem to be tackled, or could also be used to address the capacity building needs of, for example, less developed regions. And we can go to the next one. How the associated region scheme is implemented. Well, the implementation falls under the responsibility of the different projects. So associated region calls are launched by the different projects. And also the evaluation process, which is based on transparent and fair procedures, is carried out by the different projects. There is a financial support for the associated regions, and this financial support take the forms of support to third parties, and also the financial granting the financial support is done directly by the projects. There is a maximum ceiling for the contribution to associated regions, which is of the order of a maximum 100,000 euros per associated regions. And we can go to the next one. Okay, here we want to show how many projects are or will implement this concept, the concept of associated regions. All in all, we have 27 projects in the different work programs. Of course, some of them are already, projects are mature enough to already being able to implement the associated regions. Others will start doing so soon, and some others will only implement this scheme once the calls are closed and the grant agreement are signed. So all in all, we have 27 projects expected to implement the associated region schemes, and we do expect around 135 associated regions in total involved in these activities implemented in the work programs of the mission already adopted. So we have 3 projects that have already launched calls for associated regions, and calls are already closed. There are 24 new projects which are expected to launch new calls for associated regions once activities are mature enough for that. And there are 3 calls which are now open for associated regions, and these calls are published by the Restore for Life projects, the Sea Clear 2.0 project, and the Remedies project. So if you are interested, it is worth to look at the calls which are published by these projects. You can find them in the Horizon Europe Finding and Tenders portal. You can also find this information on our Mission Ocean and Waters service portal. Publicity about these calls is also made by the ongoing projects, so visit their sites, and of course you can also get information and assistance from the national contact points and the Mission Lighthouse coordination and support actions which are working in the different sea and river basin covered by the mission. I think this was my last slide, so back to you, Marcin. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roberta. And this concludes our introductory part. Now, before we move further, just a word about Slido. Please remember to put your questions into Slido. As I said, we will take the first batch of questions after the first 5 topics. And please remember to label your question with the topic number. That if it's, of course, if it's a topic-specific question, that will make it easier for us to identify what the question concerns. Right, so now let us start talking about the individual topics. And for the first topic, I would like to invite myself to tell you about it. So the first topic concerns European blue parks. This is the 4th consecutive time that we have a European blue parks topic. There has been one in every work program so far. So there are 4 blue parks projects already running, and the 5th will be, the grant agreement will be signed in the coming month. There is a developing community of blue parks, a blue parks community that has workshops every now and then. The last one was during the European Ocean and Water Days last month, and there is a report from this workshop on the mission service portal that you have already heard about. So there is a history to this, there is a background, there are other blue parks topics, And this one will be on offshore marine protected areas, offshore meaning more than 12 nautical miles from the coast. So, of course, these blue parks are about biodiversity. They are rooted in and support policy items such as the biodiversity strategy, the nature restoration law, the Marine Action Plan, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, the agreement on BB&J, or the Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework. This will be an innovation action, expected TRL at the end of the project 5 to 7. The indicative budget is 11.1 million, which means we are expecting one project to be funded. Although, of course, indicative means indicative. There is no obligation to ask exactly for that. The final criterion is always that the cost should be adequate to the activities undertaken. Next slide, please. So what we are hoping to get from the projects funded under this topic will be definition of science-based conservation objectives and measures contributing to the management of marine protected areas. We would like to have scientific evidence for decision-making process at member states or associated country level. New offshore marine protected areas, at least proposed, if not actually established. Improved knowledge about offshore marine ecosystems, which includes the deep sea. Excuse me, an enhancement of the ecosystem services that would be compatible with the restoration of offshore ecosystems. And of course, as in practically all our topics, active support to the mission's digital ocean and water knowledge system, as well as reinforcing the EU leadership in international efforts for marine protection. So these are the goals of the topic. Next slide, please. And we expect projects to be mapping the distribution and condition of the habitats, benthic and pelagic, in offshore areas, to provide the scientific basis that is needed for establishing or enlarging existing marine protected areas in offshore areas. And this, of course, includes also strictly protected areas. And to assess the pressures acting on these areas, then to establish the necessary conservation measures, including elaborating management plans and, very importantly, monitoring schemes. There are some additional eligibility conditions, namely that if satellite data are used, they should be coming from Copernicus or Galileo. Data are expected to be have to be made available via the European Marine Observation and Data Network, EMODNet, and they should follow the FAIR approach: findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Projects are expected to deliver an action plan and a roadmap for the replication and scale-up of the proposed measures. Furthermore, well, this is not an eligibility condition, but the involvement of member states, authorities, member states or associated country authorities and concerned stakeholders is encouraged, as are proposals addressing the EU's outermost regions. These are encouragements, not requirements, I repeat. Thank you. And now we move to the second topic. And for this one, I would like to invite myself again. This is pure coincidence, I assure you. Other colleagues will be speaking as well during this session. So the second topic concerns the Danube River Basin Lighthouse, and it is about the protection and restoration of migratory fish habitats. It is also an innovation action, TRL 5 to 7. The indicative budget, with the caveat, the same caveat as before, it is indicative, is 15.6 million, which means we are expecting 2 projects to be funded, but that is just our guesswork. So in terms of the policy context, this is of course the biodiversity strategy, the marine strategy and water framework directive, the habitats directive, but also, since this is a more local topic, the action plan of the EU's strategy for the Danube region, as well as the updated river basin management plan for the Danube from the Committee for the Protection of the Danube region. So that's the background. And next slide, please. So here we are expecting an improvement of the protection and management of migratory fish species in the Danube River Basin and its delta. We would like to have measurable improvements, and measurable is important in this context, measurable improvements in critical fish habitats, in their availability, accessibility, and connectivity. We are hoping for improved transnational and transsectoral cooperation. The Danube covers many nations and regions. So between national local authorities and other actors involved in the process of protection and restoration of fish habitats. And we are also hoping for evidence that would support the implementation and the updates of river management plans, addressing the needs of migratory fish species. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is an innovation action, and we are expecting demonstration activities that would enhance a network of critical habitats for migratory fish species. That would be focused especially on endangered species of high significance for the ecosystem, including human ecosystems, so for local communities. Measures that will combine the availability, accessibility of habitats with the protection and with their protection and restoration, especially critical habitats such as spawning, nursery, feeding, and wintering grounds. Again, impact monitoring of the activities is very important. Should be done in cooperation with the information system set up through previous projects. The details are in the text of the topic, but for example, the project measures can be quoted here. And we would like to support the project to support inclusive and long-term management of the restored and protected ecosystems, including all relevant elements, be they natural, social, economic, cultural, so business models for generating revenue and involving, for that purpose, local business communities, but respecting, of course, the habitats of the fish species above all. Next slide, please. So the same additional eligibility conditions concerning the use of data, that it should be Copernicus or Galileo. Demonstration activities should be carried out in at least 3 member states or associated countries, of the Danube River Basin. Data to be made available via EMODnet as usual. The projects are expected to deliver an action plan and roadmap for the replication and scale-up of the solutions they develop. And this is an example of a topic where we expect 5 associated regions. You heard about the associated regions just now, so there is financial support to third parties, up to 100,000 euro per third party. Associated regions should not be the participants, the eligible participants should not be from regions that are already involved in the demonstration sites covered by the project. So they should be external, as the associated region concept is about replication of the solutions. And the calls for associated regions are to be organized by the relevant projects. So if I may, a word of advice here, this is work. It is not rocket science, but it is work that should be foreseen in the plan of the proposal. And that is all. And now I will give up the floor and ask my colleague Roberta to continue with the next topic. Roberta.
Thank you very much. So the next topic is 0103, and this is about reducing the environmental impacts of fisheries on marine species and habitats. This is again an innovation action, and we have allocated an indicative budget of 24 million to activities under this topic. We expect to support 3 projects of around 8 million each. And here what we would also expect is to have 1 project per sea basin which is covered by the mission. So this topic addresses the 3 mission lighthouses, the Atlantic and Arctic sea basin, the Baltic and North Sea basin, the Mediterranean Sea basin. So proposals should be basin specific with regard to activities addressing this topic. Activities under this topic are particularly relevant for the implementation of the Marine Action Plan, and actually when in the topic there is a reference to sensitive species to be protected, the reference is to the list of sensitive species which is included in the Marine Action Plan that was published by the Commission in 2023. And of course, all the other policies and legislation which are listed here and which have already been mentioned for previous topic are also very relevant for this topic. We can go to the next slide. So in terms of expected outcomes, actually we expect projects to address the incidental catches, discard and damages to sensitive species, juvenile fish, and also their related habitats. And in this way we expect activities to support the transition towards a more sustainable and economically viable fishing practice. We also expect activities to improve mitigation measures for the protection of sensitive species, juvenile fish, and also their habitats. So here the mitigation measures will have to be really impactful in relation to sensitive species, juvenile fish, and habitats. And we also expect new knowledge or enhanced knowledge on incidental catches, in particular in relation to, for example, spawning grounds, nursery areas, recruitment processes. So we do expect also to have a better and an enhanced knowledge in relation to these aspects. And finally, since this is also about sustainable fisheries, we expect activities to be able to increase the value of seafood products which come from sustainable practices in fisheries. And we can go to the next one, which is about the scope. So this is an innovation action. We expect activities at the end of the project to reach a technology readiness level which is between 6 and 8. It's demonstration project and activities should address all following issues. So demonstration of mitigation measures and sustainable fishing tools, for example, innovative gears, for example, technique to improve selectivity, for example, measures to reduce bycatches. We also expect activities to demonstrate and mitigate the impact of fishing operations. The topic provides some examples which are not exhaustive, restricted areas, closures, safe handling of bycaught species, experimental restocking procedure. And we also expect activities to assess the operational feasibility of the different solutions in commercial fisheries. And we expect also activities to support the broad uptake of the solution. As I said, each proposal should address one or the other specific sea basin covered by the mission. And in terms of eligibility condition, the use of Copernicus, Galileo and EGNOS also for this topic is mandatory in case satellite-based data are used. And the second eligibility condition is on the demo activities that should be carried out in at least 3 member states or associated countries within the specific basin which is covered by the proposal. And in addition to eligibility condition, what it is very important is the fact that fair approaches are expected to be applied in case of data. Data have to be made available through EMODNet. The involvement of the end users and of the fisheries communities is a very important issue, but also of relevant authorities whenever needed. And at the end of the project, we also expect the delivery of an action plan and a roadmap for the replication and the upscale of the solutions which have been tested and demonstrated in the project. This is also a topic where the participation of entities from outermost region is welcome. So this was it for topic 0103. I think I will continue with topic 0104. Now we move to a completely different type of instruments implementing the mission. This is a topic on citizen science. The title is Science for Community, and it is implemented through a coordination and support action. We have allocated 2 million and we expect to support only one proposal under this topic with all the caveats that were made by Marcin. And this topic is particularly relevant for the mission itself because it supports the implementation of the mission's enablers. One is the digital twin ocean, so we do expect these activities and citizen science activities to contribute to feeding the European digital twin of the ocean and it is also very relevant for all the citizens' engagement measures that are undertaken through the mission. It is also very relevant for the UN Ocean Science Decade. So this was the policy context. We can go to the next slide, which is about the expected outcome. So the main outcome that we do expect from activities under this topic is the establishment of a pan-European marine citizen science data network. We also expect activities to contribute to enhance harmonization of data and metadata standards and also methodological approaches around existing frameworks at European level. Some examples of these frameworks are the Sea Data Net, EMODNet, but also the marine data infrastructures which are already in place. We also expect activities under this topic to increase the visibility and the impact of citizen science in marine and freshwater domains. And we also expect activities to support the exchanges of good practices concerning information and data sharing and use. We can go to the next one, which is about the scope. Here, in terms of activities, there are 3 groups of activities that projects are expected to address. One is about the establishment of a marine citizen science network, so number of activities to bring together all relevant actors active in citizen science and in data collection. The second group of activities is about information and data collection and actually making them fair and also integrating them into existing platforms. And the third group of activities is to support the deployment of observing devices and equipments for citizen science, and here we ask projects and proposals to foresee at least 2 use cases to demonstrate in real condition the benefits of simple to use and standardized devices for citizen science campaigns. Here, what it is important on top of what we have already said for many of the topics covered by the mission, so use of Copernicus, Galileo and EGNOS, fair approach to data, but also here what it is important is to establish cooperation and links with other relevant projects in this field, citizen science, and here we would like to mention the Otters project that was funded under the mission in 2021, and that is about piloting citizen science in marine and freshwater domains. I think this was my last slide, and back to you, Marcin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roberta. And now for the final topic of this first call, I would like to invite our colleague John Hannes from DG RTD, who is joining us online, to present it. John, floor is yours.
Thank you, Marcin, and it is my pleasure to present to you the topic, Our Blue Future, Co-Designing a Future Vision of a Restored Ocean and Water System in the EU by 2030 and 2050. The European Green Deal and the EU Mission Ocean and Waters have clear objectives and targets for 2030 and 2050. While the desired endpoint is clear, visualizing what this destination looks like in practice across Europe is less obvious for citizens and stakeholders. We also do not have a clear picture of the necessary transition pathways towards our future goals. This topic will address these issues by co-designing, together with citizens and key stakeholders, how a future of Europe could look like, where the ocean and water systems are restored, and what we need to do to get there. In terms of policy context, the topic is quite transversal. The topic supports the implementation of the three main mission objectives, which are linked to the European Green Deal in terms of the protection and restoration of biodiversity and ecosystems, in the prevention of pollution, and in making the blue economy climate neutral and circular. As the topic seeks to mobilize citizens and stakeholders and should also be linked to the digital twin of the ocean, it is also supporting both enablers of the mission. Now, what are the expected outcomes? By co-designing possible science-based transition scenarios for reaching the mission and Green Deal objectives, the topic should help to build confidence and increase support for the transitions required by the European Green Deal. By co-designing inspiring narratives for transitions and identifying credible pathways for their realization, the topic should help to stimulate effective action and thereby contribute to the mission's progress. It should also lead to increased awareness among decision makers, stakeholders, citizens, including students, on the urgency of the climate, the biodiversity, and the pollution crises, and the central role of restoring the entire water system to address these. Finally, the topic should support national, regional, and local decision makers in planning decisions and in taking measures to protect and restore the ocean, coastal, and water spaces and ecosystems. So how should the topic achieve these outcomes? You can see the scope on the next slide. By developing and co-designing futures of the EU in which the ocean, seas, and waters are conserved and restored to good health. The topics and proposals should co-create future scenarios for the EU ocean and water spaces for both 2030 and 2050, as well as the science-based pathways for reaching these. This should include for both time horizons at least one, a business as usual scenario which extrapolates current trends, and secondly, a scenario where the mission and European Green Deal objectives are fully achieved. This changed scenario should in particular show what the future of Europe could look like if innovative solutions, such as those developed by other mission projects, are deployed at sufficient scale to address the climate change, biodiversity, and pollution-driven challenges to our ocean and water systems. Proposals are also expected to visualize what future EU landscapes and ocean and water spaces could look like by developing a map as well as other interactive, dynamic, and digital visualization tools and applications. Finally, proposals should build on and be compatible with the European digital twin of the ocean and draw on state-of-the-art models, data, and projections from the IPCC, IPBES, the European Environment Agency, and JRC for their scenario building. Importantly, these scenarios and pathways need to be co-designed in a participatory and inclusive process together with citizens, youth, as well as key stakeholders and decision makers, such as planners at national, regional, and local level. We expect proposals to develop both a pan-European vision as well as specific visions for at least each of the 4 mission lighthouse areas in the Atlantic Arctic, the Danube, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Baltic and North Sea. As the topic should build on the outcomes of other mission projects and be connected to the 4 mission lighthouses, it is also important that cooperation with other relevant mission projects, the lighthouses, as well as the implementation platform are foreseen. More information on the outcomes of these projects can be found on the Mission Service Portal, which was presented earlier, as well as the portfolio analysis and dashboard, which can be found on the mission website. Finally, this topic should involve social sciences and humanities, disciplines, and experts. This is an innovation action with an indicative budget of €3 million, and the Commission estimates that an EU contribution of €3 million would allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. That concludes my presentation, and I would like to thank you for listening, and would like to pass the floor back to our moderator, Martin.
Thank you, John. And so this concludes the first part of our presentations, the first group of topics, the first call. And we will now have a look at the questions that have come in through Slido. And I see The first question concerns topic 0101, the blue parks. Now it concerns something else. Okay, I'll wait a second for the questions to stabilize. It still concerns topic 0101. There is a chronic lack of marine biodiversity information for potential offshore marine protected areas. Is such data collection eligible for selected cases and encouraged? I think indeed the lack of marine biodiversity information for offshore MPAs is one of the reasons why we have a call on offshore blue parks. So yes, this is absolutely part of what we would be expecting within the projects funded under this topic. The second question is also about blue parks. Is a blue park a facility, a virtual space, or a specific pilot? Well, it is none of the above. I think the blue parks should be regarded as being the research and innovation dimension of marine protected areas. It is more the blue parks community that we are developing with these topics, the information, the knowledge about the scientific background about where to set up marine protected areas, how to manage them. This is what blue parks are about. The next question still concerns topic 0101 regarding offshore. Am I correct? This is between 12 and 200 nautical miles and does not include the high seas. In the work program, the explanation of offshore areas states that it is those that are beyond 12 nautical miles from the coast, so it does cover the high seas. And the next question is again about blue parks. What basin does the grant cover? Does it include the Baltic and North Sea or other basins? The answer is yes. It is not basin specific. It should be site specific, but the location of the sites is not specified. The projects should be site specific, ecologically relevant, and above all impactful. This is the main thing. And the next question concerning topic 0104, could you describe what is the EU Digital Twin Ocean in simple language? Roberta, I give you this one, I think.
Thank you very much. Well, we give it a try. Actually, the Digital Twin Ocean is a replica of the ocean in very simple language. So what it is complex is to be able to really create this replica, and this is what we are trying to do in the mission. We are on one side developing the public infrastructure underpinning the European Digital Twin Ocean, and next to the infrastructure we are also integrating into this public infrastructure all the different models addressing, different domains from biodiversity to socioeconomic models to morphological models. I mean, many different types of information are collected to be able to really create a replica of the ocean and the different activities that can take place there. It's a tool that could be used by many different actors to take decisions, to create scenarios, to reply to questions like what if. So once available, it will be a tool that could be used by by many different actors. It's, as I said, one of the main pillars of the mission knowledge system, and we do expect to have a precursor of the DTO already by the end of this year.
Thank you. And the next question also concerns topic 0104. Do public engagement activities equal citizen science? What principles do you use to decide what is citizen science? Would you like to answer that?
I can answer that. Okay. I think is that the main aspect of citizen science is the capacity of citizens to contribute to collection of data and make them usable in science. So we need to have citizens involved in this, we need to have appropriate tools, we need to be able to use the data collected properly and in a useful way. So this is what we intend as citizen science activities, and this is why it is important also to have a pan-European network of citizen science, because we need a really harmonized approaches to citizen science.
Thank you very much. And I think the next one is for you as well. It is still about topic 0104, and the question is the Marine Citizen Science Network solely comprised of actors, or does it also encompass a digital data network or database?
It does, and it is, one of the three groups of activities is about data collection, and this is, of course, includes digital data and databases.
Thank you. And the next question concerns topic 0105. How will the involvement of SSH competence be evaluated in the proposals? Before I ask John his opinion on the subject, I would perhaps like to say that the evaluation of proposals as well as the follow-up of the projects resulting from them is handled by the European Climate Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency, CINEA or CINEA, depending on where you're coming from. And so this is mostly their competence, unless, John, you have ideas that you would like to share on this subject.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Obviously, as you mentioned, CINEA is carrying out these evaluation, but they are evaluating projects according to three criteria: excellence, quality, impact, as well as the quality and efficiency of the proposals. So here the projects have to demonstrate that they have the necessary competence and expertise in their consortium. For this mission overall, the societal engagement aspect is of course crucial. And here for this topic in particular, we need to show necessary knowledge in designing participatory and inclusive approaches for the co-design. So I think this will be something that you should be able to demonstrate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question concerns topic 012. And the question is, this is a local topic, Danube. Will it allow involvement of academics and SMEs in other regions? The answer is yes. Horizon Europe is open to everybody. The condition here was that the demonstration sites should be in the region of the Danube River and the Danube Delta, but in fact, the concept of associated regions, which comes up in the next question, is about replicating solutions in other regions. So, by all means, as a general principle, we are very keen for participants from other regions to also be participating, even in projects associated with a particular lighthouse or sea basin. And this brings us to the next question concerning topic 0102. What is the principle for associated regions? Does it mean that the EC gives money to a project and to then be sent to other regions? I would perhaps like to say that the EC does not give money to a project. It reimburses eligible expenses. But okay, this is not the question, I understand. The concept of associated regions, and I will try and answer this, but maybe Roberta will complement afterwards, is precisely to bring in local or regional authorities from other regions that are not already involved in the project, in order to replicate the solutions in these other regions. So the money is not to be sent to other regions in that sense. It is to allow other regions to participate in a project, perhaps in the drawing up of the plans for replication and of the solutions developed within that project. And mostly, I think, as observers to be able to spread the word and replicate the solutions in their own regions. Is that okay, or would you like to add something? It is okay. Thank you very much. Then we have the next question. Will contributions of social sciences and humanities disciplines be valued in this call? There is no specific requirement, as I remember, of social sciences and humanities. I would say, will contributions be valued in this call? Any contribution that leads to a good result will absolutely be valued in the call. This will be for the independent evaluators to evaluate in due time, but I think any contribution that makes sense is always very, very welcome. The Slido screen has gone blank. I understand that we have answered all the questions that we have received so far, and therefore we will move on with the next call and the next topic. And here I would like to invite Michaela. This is your topic.
Thank you, Marcin. I'm pleased to present to you today the topic 0201, Community-led actions to restore our ocean, seas and waters. This topic was intended to have a bottom-up approach, giving the opportunity to all communities working towards the mission objectives to get actively involved. Now, what are the expected outcomes of this topic? As an outcome, we want to see progress towards one or ideally several interlinked mission objectives and targets that are outlined in the mission implementation plan. It is important that this progress is measurable, verifiable, and ambitious. Concretely, the proposed actions should effectively mobilize, engage, and support national, regional, and local authorities and other communities of actors and stakeholders so that they can reach those objectives and implement the legislation and policies that are relevant to our mission. A summary of which you can see on the left-hand side, and you have seen many policy pieces that are relevant already mentioned in this presentation today. What should be resulting from this support is an increased readiness at local level to deploy at scale innovative solutions. And this should also be linked to leveraging resources and investments. Let's now look at the scope of this project in the next slide. So we aim to mobilize a broad set of actors to take meaningful action to restore the ocean, seas and waters. and provide practical, easily accessible support to communities of actors to facilitate, on the one hand, the deployment at scale of innovative actions, measures, and initiatives contributing to the mission's objectives, and also to facilitate the transformations required at the different levels. Each proposed action should address one of the 4 basins or lighthouses covered by the mission, and all of the following types of support to the communities of actors need to be implemented. So we have financial support to third parties, also known as cascading grants to community-led pilot actions. We have cascading grants for transition agendas and technical assistance that the consortium will provide. I will explain these 3 elements in more detail later. First, I would highlight some important points to note. So first, we will fund the best proposal in each mission lighthouse. That means that the grants will not be automatically awarded to the 4 best proposals overall, but to the proposal that is highest ranked within each lighthouse. Then we have one extra eligibility condition, namely that the consortium must include beneficiaries from at least 2 regions, represented by the relevant public authorities. And finally, please also note that each recipient may only benefit from the cascading grants once during the project, which means that the same entity cannot receive a grant for a transition agenda and a grant for community-led pilot actions. So it is only one of the 2. I have now an additional slide for you in the next slide. So I hope I can better explain to you these 3 different types of support that the applicants should provide. You can see here on the left-hand side graphically that we would like to fund 1 project in each lighthouse. So the indicative total amount of approximately 50 million will be distributed to 4 grants of approximately 12.5 million each. I will explain to you now the cascading grants, also, like I said, called financial support to third parties. So you can see this in this yellow box. And this is one of the primary activities of each of the projects. So let's focus on the first type of the cascading grants, which is the grant to community-led pilot actions. Let's imagine you have won the project. The logic here is that you will distribute a part of the funding granted to you to third parties. These may be consortia of several participants. And in the proposal, you need to plan this call for cascading grants already very well, because it should be launched already in month 3 of the project. And this means you will be in charge of all the elements of the call, including its conception, publication, promotion, the organization of the evaluation, and also the selection of these third-party actions. As a result, we expect a minimum of 5 community-led actions of between 200,000 euros and 2 million euros each. So you see these in the first light blue box. We estimate that the total budget for this cascading call might be in the area of around 7 million euros, so that there is sufficient budget left for the other types of support. So please note that you can give a maximum of 500,000 euros to each beneficiary inside the consortium. Higher amounts may be possible if duly justified in the proposal. So these community actions, they need to demonstrate measurable, verifiable, and ambitious progress towards reaching at least one or whenever possible and feasible, several interlinked objectives and targets. Of course, a focus can be on the objectives that are most relevant and urgent for the community. However, if addressing several objectives is possible, this should then be evaluated as advantages. The third-party actions should pilot innovative solutions. And what do we mean with innovative solutions? These should be solutions that go beyond the state of the art, and we are not exclusively considering technological and nature-based solutions. We are also considering social, cultural, regulatory, financial, and governmental innovations, and ideally a combination of those. The overall aim is to prepare the communities to be ready for the deployment and upscaling of innovative solutions, including through the preparation of deployment plans. You should ensure that the third-party actions make use of participatory and transdisciplinary approaches, as well as social sciences and humanities, to collaborate with local stakeholders and also to build on the outcomes of previously funded EU or other projects and solutions. In particular, co-funding, for example, from structural and investment funds is particularly encouraged. In the topic description, you can see examples of types of mission communities and types of actors that should be attracted through these cascading calls. We tried to list the main types of communities and actors, but the message is that this topic is really open to all relevant for the restoration of the ocean, seas, and waters. So like I said, these are examples, and other types of actors that are not listed may receive the cascaded grants if they are relevant. Let's now focus on the second type of cascading grants. Still in that slide. Is still in this yellow box, so the cascading grants for transition agendas. So here the proposal should also plan to award a minimum of 20 transition agenda grants of up to 100,000 euros each. The recipients will be the same type of mission communities that I just mentioned before. And what is a transition agenda? So it is understood as a strategic roadmap towards reaching all the objectives and targets of the mission in the communities, with a particular focus again on the objectives that are most relevant to that specific community. But here a reminder again, so this financial support to third parties can only be granted once during the project. Now we move away from the two cascading calls and we focus on the third group of activities that your project needs to carry out, which is the provision of technical assistance to mission communities of actors, which you see on the bottom in this red box. This includes support to advise the mission communities of actors for the preparation of, for example, business plans, feasibility studies, impact assessments, capacity buildings, and other services that you can provide, such as direct counseling, written guidance, online materials, webinars, peer-to-peer support, twinning, and so on. Furthermore, you should also work at clustering and networking of the community-led actions. You should assist each community-led action to establish new networks, collaborations, and partnerships with local stakeholders, and also provide guidance on the deployment of these solutions. You should collaborate then also with the 3 other projects selected under this topic and contribute to joint monitoring and evaluation activities. With this, I'm at the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I hand over again to the moderator.
Thank you, Michaela. And now we are approaching the final topic. And to explain this one, I would like to invite our colleague Claudia Pecoraro from DG RTD, who is joining us online. Claudia,
thank you.
Screen is yours.
You, Marcin. Thank you, Marcin, and good afternoon to all of you. I will present another topic linked to the community of actors that have been mentioned so far. And this project is also linked to the project that has been just presented by my colleague Michaela, the community-led of actors. It's a CSA, a coordinated support action, and the action will coordinate support the coalition of island, region, and waterfront cities, and committed to achieve the mission ocean and water objective and the targets in the local territories and the context. The idea is to have one coalition of waterfront cities, including the ports, region and island, to achieve the objective indeed of the mission, but also to strengthen resilience against extreme climate events, sea level rise and floods. The coalition should implement actions, initiatives aiming to achieve the objective and the targets of the mission across the region, the waterfront cities and the island, designated and implemented by the coalition, and at the same time should structure and consolidate the mission communities of actors. The coalition is entitled to enhance wide citizen and stakeholder engagement activities at regional and local level, as well as enhance political support, social acceptance of action addressing the restoration of the health of the ocean and waters. This means the coalition should cooperate closely with different institutions, organizations, and initiatives relevant for the protection of our ocean and waters, and should also access to the EU and member state, national, regional, and private funds. In the next slide, I will mention better the scope of this topic. So far, a number of waterfront cities, region and island started to become engaged to the mission Ocean and Water by adhering to the mission charter. The proposal should coordinate, support, and strengthen this growing mobilization to create a coalition supporting the mission Ocean and Water implementation, which will focus on the waterfront cities and their ports. And for this, I mean also the coastal and inland ports, as well as region and island committed to implement the mission. The activities should be focused on coordinating, networking, twinning, mentoring the coalition members, as well as sharing best practice and solution together with the project resulting from the call that has been just presented by Michaela on the community-led, the call 0201. And it should also cooperate with the mission implementation platform. The proposal should enhance the visibility of the coalition activities, and this means tailored communication actions, campaign, educational campaign, engaging local communities, schools, students, citizens, public and broader action. The proposal should also ensure that the coalition has a balanced representation of different communities across member states and associated countries, including the participation of smaller cities, smaller municipalities, and they should include beneficiaries from at least one region, one waterfront city, and one island. The proposal should leverage further support funds to support the action of the coalition in line, of course, with the mission objective. This includes synergies and access to the EU national and regional private funds from foundation philanthropies, for instance, as well as the financial sector, for instance, the European Investment Bank. The proposal, therefore, should support the public authorities to become members of the coalition by enabling them to engage with different stakeholders, including the private sector, NGO, citizens, investors, and other local regional authorities, with the aim to co-design, co-develop, and complement strategy and action for the health of ocean and waters. The proposal should help the coalition to enhance the links and also coordinate with the other important initiatives, existing initiative and key players, such as, for instance, the EU City Mission or the Horizon Partnership for a Sustainable Blue Economy or the European Environmental Agency, as well as other organizations in charge of the protection of the marine and coastal environment in Europe, as well as relevant international activities. The proposal should support the Commission in developing, launching, and implementing a Mission Ocean and Water label under the guidance and includes cooperation with the European Commission Secretariat. This label should be awarded to entities that have already adhere to the mission charter or are planning to do so, and whose activities are being assessed as stand out in terms of excellence or impacts towards reaching the mission objectives. The proposal should also work closely with the Horizon Europe projects, in particular the coordinated support actions Prep for Blue and the 4 coordination support actions for the mission Lighthouse, namely EcoDali for the Danube Black Sea Lighthouse, the Blue Mission WA for the Atlantic and Arctic, the Blue Mission Med for the Mediterranean Lighthouse, the Blue Mission Banos for the Baltic and North Sea. Also, as I mentioned before, they have to enhance synergies and work closely with the mission implementation platform and the projects resulting from the previous call just presented. The proposal budget for the project is 4 million. With that, I will give the floor back to Marcin, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Claudia. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our overview of the topics of Mission Ocean and Waters for the year 2024. I would like to remind you that you have until September 18th to submit proposals. It's still, it's not tomorrow, but time has a tendency to fly. So speaking of time, we have all the time in the world for questions now. And while I am waiting for questions to stabilize, okay, they seem stable now. So let's start with the questions to this second part. First question to topic 0201. The topic is indicated as a research and innovation action. What are the research elements? It seems more like an innovation action or coordination and support action. So Michaela, I think this is for you.
Yes, this is a very good question indeed. For us, it was also a little bit challenging to define the type of action for this topic. As you could see, it has a lot of different elements. It has the element of technical assistance, including also the analysis of data and monitoring. Then it has the cascading grants, where, among others, pilot innovative solutions will be funded. So the definition of area in the end includes the elements that new knowledge will be produced and that new services or solutions will be explored. RIA also allows for 100% of funding. So in this regard, I simply invite you to really follow the topic description very closely, implement what is written there, and adhere to the scope and the expected outcomes of the topic. I hope this answered the question.
Thank you, Michaela. And I think the next question is also for you, since it concerns topic 0201. And the question is, the mission just launched a call for technical assistance. The name of the call is specified. What is the difference with what you presented?
Indeed, on the mission service portal, you can indeed find at the moment an open call for technical assistance. That call is open till the 24th of May. This call is intended as a, let's say, a pilot call to reach out to all the communities that we would like to attract and work together in our mission. There's a small difference at the moment with this call that is open, which is implemented by a tender, a consortium that works on our behalf. So there is a difference also in the timing, because the now open call, you can see the deadline end of May. So this year the work should already start on the technical assistance in the communities. Whereas for the topic I presented, we have the deadline on the 18th of September. Then we have around 8 months until the grants will be signed. So May, June next year, until the call is launched another 3 months later. So let's say we have a difference of more or less 1 year. So that's quite a difference. So at this stage, we really wanted to already go ahead and pilot this approach of providing assistance to communities. Indeed, the technical assistance that topic 0201 should provide, we specified it in detail in the call text. But then you have also this element of the transition agendas. And for this specific elements in what I presented, we giving a grant of up to 100,000 euros for communities to prepare these transition agendas, which they will do on their own or with the help of a contractor. Whereas the work in the now open call is really directly provided by this consortium working for us, so there is no funding distributed to them. And a last difference is on the communities. While in the call I just presented from Work Program 2024, we aim to be really open to all communities that work towards our mission objectives and attract all stakeholders and actions. In the now open call, also we pilot this approach with islands, ports and fishery communities. So that is the main difference. But I invite you also to have a look at that. Perhaps our Slido moderator can later on paste the link into Slido, and you will find it also under the mission website and the portal in case you are interested in this call as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela, but don't go away because I think the next question is also for you as it concerns topic 0201. And the question is, what are the evaluation criteria for this call? Will science still get most of the marks or not? The topic is slightly different from the others.
Yes, so this is a RIA, so it follows the award criteria that you can find in the Horizon Europe documentation. Science getting most of the marks. I mean, what our external evaluators will look at is, of course, the composition of the consortium, and if it's in line with the call. And here, as you can see, we are aiming to advocate for a holistic approach where not only we're not only looking at scientific or technological expertise, but equally social sciences, humanities, and transdisciplinary know-how. I think here all these different aspects will play an important role.
Right, and then we have more questions concerning this topic. It's very popular. So the next question is cascading grant to community-led actions. Can the individual community-led action be within one member state only? For example, ports in Germany?
That would probably result in a not very advantageous evaluation result. And I tell you why. The reason is that so for the cascaded grants, you as a consortium, you will define your own evaluation criteria. So these are not necessarily the Horizon Europe evaluation criteria. However, what is being monitored and checked very thoroughly is that you will have a fair, objective and transparent approach to selecting these community-led actions. And so I think this kind of, let's say, a very narrow geographical scope would probably then not be regarded as fair. So that's why I would recommend really to focus on the entire lighthouse, the entire, in that case, the Baltic and North Sea basin, and have an equal or at least a fair distribution of community-led actions that you will then grant the funding to. Thanks.
Thank you. Now to give Michaela a breathing space, I propose to jump the queue in Slido, if this is Slido compatible, and ask the question that is now in green. Yes, thank you very much. To topic 0202. How can we have synergies with EIB? Can you give examples? And Claudia, this is for you.
Yes, thanks, Marcin. Thanks for this question. Indeed, the proposal should enable the coalition to leverage funds for implementing the actions, not only facilitated synergies and access to the national, regional private funds, but also from the financial sector. For instance, I mentioned the European Investment Bank. To give you an example, just a month ago, the European Investment Bank has launched a new pilot scheme, the EU Blue Champions, in order to provide financial advisory to selected projects in the blue economy. Let's imagine that the coalition of regions would like to leverage and enhance synergies with the European Investment Bank. This could be done through regional funds that could complement these projects, these selected projects in the blue economy. So based on what type of activities are being put in place by different instruments, the coalition can leverage funds in order to complement these activities. I hope this was clear.
Thank you very much. And then we go back to topic 0201. And the next question is, what type of actors should coordinate such proposals and projects? Michaela.
It goes again a bit in the direction of what I said before. Okay, I'm not sure whether you ask about the actual project here of around 12.5 million, or if you ask about the cascaded grants. So maybe I will answer for both. Can we see the question again? No, it's okay. So what is important to note is what I said. Thank you. What I said before. The consortium should be having the adequate expertise to implement this project, and this is really then up to you to judge who should be involved. For the cascaded grants, for the community-led actions, or for the transition agendas, here you have the clear list with examples in the topic text that give you an idea of all kinds of communities and different types of organizations and stakeholders. So, and like I said, even if some are not mentioned here, as long as they work towards our mission objectives, then they can apply to these cascaded grants and get the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. We are slowly approaching the end of our list of questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, still a few minutes left if you have more questions. And Claudia, another one for you, topic 0202. Can cities be part of the coalition without being part of the consortium?
Of course, yes. The coalition is designated for waterfront cities, ports, island, and the regions. And of course, the coalition is for one of these target communities.
Thank you. And then another question on topic 0201. Can you clarify what is meant by communities? How many members are to be part of a community to be considered as such?
Okay, so I have the call text in front of me, and in order not to say anything wrong, I will tell you what the definition for this specific topic is. And a community here is a group of individuals, public or private sector entities, or other actors actively involved in activities relevant for the achievement of mission objectives. So you can see it's a quite all-encompassing definition. And in that sense, you should judge if the type of community you have in mind fits under this description. There's also then another definition for what community-led means, which you can see, and there are also several examples for inspiration.
And we have another question that just came in. Can national contact points or local authorities lead on these grants?
Yeah, again, I'm not sure if you mean then again the cascaded grants or the actual project that helps to implement these grants. Local authorities, for sure. So all actors and organizations that are eligible for Horizon Europe funding. With NCPs, I am not entirely certain. I don't know if my colleagues have any idea. But this is probably something we have to look into. I haven't seen any NCP leading Horizon Europe project so far, but we can, yes.
I can complement here.
Thank you.
If any legal entity is eligible, so also NCPs as such are eligible.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, as a general rule of Horizon Europe, any legal entity established in a member state or associated country can, in principle, lead any project. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our presentations and the end of our questions. If you have more questions in the future, you can always send them to us in writing to the Mission Secretariat. Questions concerning technical or legal aspects of the evaluation are, as I mentioned before, best addressed to the executive agency SINEA. We would like, before closing completely, to inform you of the Horizon Europe Missions brokerage event that will take place on the 21st and 22nd of May of this year. The event will focus on all the missions, and the details are to be found here. Register until the 17th of May. And with that, well, I think we'll take our leave. We hope this has been useful and helpful for you. We wish you all the best in your proposals, and thank you and goodbye.